Coming up on Gameball NFL Endzone, Mike and I break down a divisional round weekend that was one for the ages. Who's moving on? Who's going home? Segment number 2, Cleveland Browns. They made their hire at coach. Kevin Stefanski, former offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. Why do we like it? Why do we not? And in our third segment, Mike and I is going to tell you who's going to Super Bowl 54. Music City, Kansas City, the Gold Rush, the Gold Cheese. Who's it going to be? We'll let you know. Coming up, Gameball NFL Endzone.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. It's your boy, Michael Riley.
And I'm Luke Hartnett.
And we're holding down from our brother who couldn't be here with us once again. He's taking care of some things in the West Coast. So shout out to Marcus Young, Jenkins for making the move. He'll be on the podcast coming soon. You'll see his face and all that. So let's get started with the forecast recap of the divisional round playoff game. Minnesota Vikings 10, San Francisco 49ers 27, Tennessee Titans 28, Baltimore Ravens 12, Houston Texas 31, Kansas City Chiefs 51, Seattle Seahawks 23, Green Bay Packers 28, Minnesota Vikings to San Francisco. Let's go.
I believe last week I picked San Francisco to advance in this one. I think I had 27-20. I thought it was going to be like a convincing 27-20 though too. Like maybe they have a 2-touchdown lead throughout. Maybe the Vikings get a backdoor touchdown, narrow the gap, little window dresser for lack of a better term. But for the most part, that game's about what I was expecting there. Kirk Cousins not really one to move around, and mobile quarterbacks really are the ones that get that Niner defense fit. So you look at the last couple of years here. You might remember, I believe week 3 at Kansas City last year, where Mahomes had that super duper highlight play where he ran sideline to sideline for firing a strike. Couple of games this year and throughout his entire career, really, Russell Wilson, but particularly this year, an incredibly undermanned, Seahawks team got the split, almost swept him. Very mobile guy. Kirk Cousins not really that though, and so with that defensive front that the Niners have. They're rotating 5 guys on the defensive line. All 5 of them are first-round draft picks. This, it's about what I expected to. I thought Minnesota was. I thought they tried to get Cook going. I liked how they tried to get Cook going. I think they stuck with trying to get him going too deep into the game, though.
Yeah, when Minnesota was able to score, they had the momentum going until the 49ers figured it out defensively and just basically shut down their whole entire offense. Just only giving up 10 points. The defense played excellent. Deshaun Buckner, Bosa, and their crew, Richard Sherman, everybody. It was well communicated. Players was talking together. Offensively, it was consistent, but that interception by Jimmy Garoppolo. But overall, they was able to run the ball and take time off the clock, score some points. And now they're moving on to the NFC Championship game at home against the Packers. So doing that for Minnesota, it wasn't their year, and defensively they could have did a lot better, especially offensively. Like you was alluded to, Kirk Cousins could have made some plays here and there, and this and that with his legs and keep the drive going, but. Next year, I like their future. They got a bright future.
They got to get a receiver that can stretch the field. While we're on the topic, first of all, shout out to LSU on the national championship Monday night over Clemson. They got a guy who's wearing purple and gold for them. Jamar Chase had a super duper game. I don't know what his draft status is. I don't know if he'll be on the board if he does enter the draft. But if Minnesota can get a player similar to him, that guy you can just line up on the outside, run that go route. Diggs isn't that guy. Thielen isn't that guy. They got to get that. They got to get that guy you can just put out wide. Minnesota, the franchise is very familiar. Randy Moss-esque. Get that guy on the outside. Go get it. They don't have that guy yet.
Exactly. All right, next one. The Tennessee Titans 28, the Baltimore Ravens 12.
I had the Ravens 34-30 in this one. Tennessee, it's not like them to score tons of points. They were actually shut out 16-0 against the Broncos this year, which is the game that prompted them to make the switch at quarterback from Mariota to Tannehill. But you look at that Chiefs game where they were able to pull off the win over Kansas City. They won 35-32. I was expecting this game to be very, very similar to that. And if the Ravens, they had, I think, I saw where it was like 6 drives end in Titan territory, and with no points, so didn't really capitalize too terribly much at all. Lamar Jackson, he put up big numbers, but they were kind of empty numbers, garbage time numbers, if you will. Had a few highlight runs, threw for a ton of yards, but to no avail. Just 12 points to show for it. And Derrick Henry, I think he's still running on him.
Yeah, it was more about Tennessee being the more physical bullies against the Baltimore Ravens. What the Tennessee Titans did, especially on defense, it was excellent game plan. They forced Lamar Jackson go to the outside instead of cutting in and out inside. That was an excellent game plan by Mike Vrabel and the crew. They established the run early. They didn't do nothing too fancy. They just played big boy, old school football. We're going to punch you in the mouth, ground and pound, and play good defense and milk the clock. The time possession for Tennessee Titans favored big, and you can just tell that once in the second half, as I was alluded to earlier, last week, Tennessee is top in the NFL of wearing opponents down in the second half. You can tell by the defense was just gasp for air. And that vicious stiff arm 2 times by Henry on Earl Thomas, I was like, wow. And his comments was like, that ain't gonna happen to us. We tackled. You ain't gonna tackle that big train body. So good game plan by the Tennessee Titans, and it was just not Baltimore's night. You can tell Lamar Jackson, he wasn't there. It's Sullivan himself, and was just throwing uncharacteristic passes that got tipped to interceptions, sack, fumble for loss. It was just overall, the Tennessee Titans was the more dominant team than the Baltimore Ravens. All right, next one, Houston Texans or Blew It Texans 31, Kansas City Chiefs 51.
I kind of had a sneaky feeling that when Houston was up 24-0 there, that they were scoring a bit too quickly. The Kansas City defense, defensively they only gave up for the most part 17 points. There was a blocked punt return for a touchdown. There was a fumbled punt that Houston recovered at the 6-yard line. I'm not going to put a 6-yard drive on the defense on that one, but I thought there were really two plays that really swung momentum in that first half. Houston having the ball 4th and 1 down near the 10-yard line, call a timeout, and then kick the field goal. That's a lack of killer instinct right there. Mm-hmm. And I think as long as Bill O'Brien's there and being the coach of that team, not to mention the general manager as well, they're always going to lack that killer instinct. He's taken the Texans to the divisional round a few times over. I think that's as far as they're ever going to get. I think the divisional round going forward too, that's as far as they're going to get. So if they're content with being, a wild card team that wins the division here and there, maybe wins a wild card, maybe makes the next round, cool. You win the AFC Championship, you win the Super Bowl Championship, they got to make some changes up top there. And of course the fake punt as well.
Oh my God.
I'm actually not too, I kind of like the call. Sorensen made a heck of a play. Because, if Sorensen doesn't make that play, he's still running. He saved the day right there. But they had a chance to go 28-0, and then with the score 24-7, they wanted to stay aggressive. They wanted to get more points. Again, I thought it was the right call, but I got to say, hats off to Dan Sorensen on there. He made a great play.
Well, I disagree on that. They should just play field position and force the Chiefs to get long drives. I would not have called that backed up on your 30-yard line, a fake punt. Then you didn't go for it on 4th and 1. I'm like, it was right there. You had the momentum going. They're on their heels. This is the time to deliver a knockout punch. And for the Houston Texans, you cannot go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in the offense. What do? You have to play time of possession. Milk that clock and force him to watch the defense get burnt. And Tennessee Titans did not do a good job of that. If I was the owner of that team, everybody's getting fired. The coaching staff, head coach, everybody's getting fired. You're not coming back on the plane. You're getting your own damn plane ticket and you're going home. Matter of fact, just go get your stuff and go home because that was pathetic. You blew a 24-point lead and get beat by 20. That is an embarrassment, and I don't know how you keep a coach like Bill O'Brien around like that. And the person I really feel bad for is J.J. Watt because he missed a lot of the season due to injury. He comes back, puts his body on the line, fights his butt off, blood, sweat, and tears, and this is how he gets treated. Lose by 20 after you up by 24. If I'm J.J. Watt, I am asking for a trade. Screw that. And Kansas City Chiefs, kudos for them for not giving up and just staying with it. And they make plays that need to be made. It took advantage of it overall. It was a good win for Kansas City, but I still have issues of Andy Reid does not like to run the ball in the playoffs. That's something to think about going forward, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, Houston fans, if they feel like they've seen this before, it's because they have. 2015, ALDS, American League Divisional Series against the Royals, leading the series 2-1 in a best of 5, up 6-2 in the 8th inning. Royals come back, take the lead, win the game, win Game 5, go on, win the World Series championship. Chiefs trying to follow in their footsteps.
Yeah. Seattle Seahawks 23, Green Bay Packers 28.
You had Seattle winning this too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of both struck out on this one. Again, this game kind of went about the way. I wasn't expecting Green Bay to be at 21-3 at halftime or up 28-10 to third quarter, but I was kind of expecting them to kind of manhandle Seattle from a percentage standpoint. Very similar to that Week 17 game between Seattle and San Francisco, where San Francisco was pretty much the head and shoulders better team, but Seattle dang near pulled it off. And this game went just about the way I thought it would there too. Seattle was able to rally, got to 28-23. Russell Wilson had the ball, had a chance to lead him down the field, get the win, get him into the NFC Championship. Really wish he wouldn't have taken a sack on that third down because I believe if they get an incomplete pass or whatever else, anything other than a sack or a turnover, I think they would have gone for it on 4th down. I understand they were in their own territory. However, you still had 3 timeouts. You still had the 2-minute warning. And what would ultimately happen is because they took the sack and punted, Green Bay was able to run the clock out. So long as you don't give up a touchdown, they kick a field goal. Okay, they make the field goal. You're down 8. Touchdown, 2-point conversion, overtime. A lot to ask for, doable. But they can't bleed the clock out, which is exactly what they did. And with Seattle's inability to I think Green Bay was like 9 of 14 on third downs. Mm-hmm. They weren't in 3rd and short either. They were 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10s or more. They were converting for the most part there. And they converted it every which way. Rodgers, I believe, ran for one. He'd throw underneath, slip a tackle, or a guy would have open space. He'd throw downfield, whatever. I mean, any way they can get a first down, they got it. And hats off to the Packers on that one. As far as Seattle goes, I don't think they have to make too many. Down Chris Carson, down Rashad Penny, down a handful of guys on the defensive side as well. Dwayne Brown played this game. He was not 100% by any means. They got to make some changes on defense. Now, they have some pieces there. My opinion, this is what makes a great defense. You got to have an all-pro, or at least an all-pro talent up front They have that in Clowney. They got to get him re-signed as well. So they got to work on that as well. They have an all-pro talent at middle linebacker, Bobby Wagner, who other breaking news we have, Luke Kuechly just announced his retirement as well. And it's always been, for the last, 3 or 4 years, who's the best middle linebacker in football? Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner. So looks like B-Wags is holding that title. Then they have an all-pro talent at Quandre Dayson, the secondary there. So you have all-pro talents on all 3 phases of defense. They got to build around that. And I don't know if Mike McCarthy is going to keep Chris Richard around in Dallas. He was a former defensive coordinator in Seattle. I don't think Ken Norton is working out there. Maybe they bring him back. Maybe they don't. We'll see. But as far as the Packers go, they looked good, but they should have looked good. They had 2 weeks off. They were at home. They were playing an absolutely injury-riddled team. And they got taken out at the very end, but they did what they had to do to win. So props to them, and good luck Sunday against San Francisco.
Give Seattle a lot of credit for fighting back. The way that the game ended, and plus, I thought that wasn't a first down by Jimmy Graham. I thought he was short on that play.
Yeah, good point. I want to go back to that, Cindy. Not to cut you off here, but there was two plays that I was kind of interested about in there. With the Packers up 7-3 in the second quarter, they had a 3rd and goal at the 1 yard line. Didn't look to me like Aaron Jones scored a touchdown there. Maybe the ball crossed the plane. I understand they called it a touchdown in real time. Didn't look to me like the ball crossed the plane, though. This is what I would have liked to have seen. Call them short. Call it 4th and goal. Hold Green Bay's feet to the fire. Make them make a decision. Kick a field goal. Go for it. Maybe they get the touchdown. Maybe they get stopped. Maybe Seattle has to go 99 yards the other way. Same thing on the Jimmy Graham play. Looked to me like he was about a half yard short. Now, they were kind of inside a 40, 35-yard line there. Not a chip shot field goal by any means. Would have been 4th and a half yard. So do they go for it? Do they take the field goal? Do they punt it? Seattle was out of timeouts at that point. So I just think from a straight entertainment standpoint, you call them short there. Give us 4th down. Make Green Bay make a decision. My suspicion, they probably go for it on the 4th and goal, get the touchdown. They probably go for it on the 4th and 1, get the first down, steal the game. Not saying those 2 calls are what won the game. Would have been fun to see what Green Bay would have done with 2 4th and shorts, on their hands in that game, though.
Yeah. Then the Green Bay Packers, they got off to the hot start. Then they led up in the second half and about lost the game, but they was able to run the clock out, makes a few plays, and get key first downs to win the game. Yeah,
I think that's the reason why a lot of people are saying that the Packers are the worst 14-3 team ever. They're doing what they have to do to win. They have not played a lot of 4-quarter games this year, though. This past Sunday being another example of that. Did what they had to do, survive and advance. Was not a 4-quarter performance from them, though.
Exactly. That will do it for the first part of Gameball NFL Endzone. Come back, we'll talk about the coaching hire of the Cleveland Browns, as well as the lack of minority coaches in the NFL. Stay tuned. Gameball NFL Endzone coming right up. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Segment number dos. That is 2. The Cleveland Browns hire former Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski, if that's how you say it, as their next head coach. Is this a good hire?
I'm going to say no, simply because he is never coached for another organization than the Minnesota Vikings. He caught on as an assistant back in 2006, so 14 years with the same organization there. Now, I'm not saying he should have been a head coach in waiting for Minnesota or anything else like that, but I think that maybe if he could have gotten around the league doing assistants. Being an OC for some other teams might be able to help his resume here a little bit. Heard a little bit of his presser on the radio this afternoon. Sounds like he knows what he's doing. Sounds like he really has a plan on what's going on there. But every head coach sounds like they have a plan when to get hired. And like Mike Tyson said, everyone got a plan to get punched in the mouth. So we'll see how it goes on here. I do think it's a step up from Freddie Kitchens, though. You can tell Freddie Kitchens was clearly outmatched in as a head coach this year.
He was more of an offensive coordinator and then a head coach. It was all about favoritism from Baker Mayfield and some other people. You could tell Freddie Kitchens was not ready as a head coach. And I would have liked it more if they would have hired an established coordinator like Josh McDaniels or Eric Bieniemy or the 49ers defensive coordinator Chris Bouchard. And
Chris Bouchard's with Dallas. Robert Saleh, on the other hand, from San Francisco. He'd have been my pick. I would have gone Saleh.
And Richard Sherman called him out on it, as he should.
Mm-hmm.
So, or you could have hired Jim Caldwell. What about Marvin Lewis and a few other coaches that are qualified for the head coaching job? And I don't know.
What's the one thing, aside from Josh McDaniels, what's the one thing all them coaches have in common? It's on the topic there. It's a big gap in common.
Yeah.
They're all people of color. They're not white. Or at least not all the way.
Minority. Yeah, there is a big lack of minority coaches in the NFL. There's only 4 of them. Ron Rivera, Mike Tomlin, Anthony Lynn, and Brian Flores of the Dolphins. And it seems like the Rooney Rule was put in place for other minority coaches, including of color, to get an opportunity to get a head coaching job. And that has decreased in the NFL since 2013. And we're starting to see more of owners going around that and picking their guy. And they think, this is me from a distance saying, they think a black man can't lead another black man. And NFL has been dirty like that for years. And there has to be something to put in place for other minority coaches, upcoming head coaches, to get an opportunity to get a head coaching job. What do you think should be done going forward, and how can this issue be resolved?
Man, I mean, I'm sure there's something that can be done about it. I think what really needs to be addressed is that, what kind of opportunities are these guys really getting? What are the interviews going like? I understand that interviews are done behind closed doors for the most part, but what's going on behind those closed doors? You and me, we're a couple of assistant coaches. We're trying to get the Browns job. We go on, we do the interviews, right? Are they asking us the same questions? Are they asking? Are they conducting the interview set up to where me, the white assistant, is going to be able to provide in-depth, thoughtfully successful answers? Are they, maybe giving you a different set of circumstances on there? Maybe you kick my ass in the interview. They never know, though. We're going to hire this guy instead because he has a track record. Yet okay, he didn't interview as well, but he checks all the other boxes, whatever kind of what are going to throw out there, whatever else. So, and I mean, I think they need more year in, year out success too. Outside of maybe Tony Dungy, you can maybe throw Art Shell in there. Then to a much lesser extent, Marvin Lewis and Lovie Smith. Okay, they were okay. They had they had some up years here and there, but the Chargers, not being able to perform in back-to-back years, and the Steelers missing the playoffs 2 years in a row, I think it's kind of hurt. I mean, I'm not saying that's why minorities aren't getting hired, but it doesn't really get the perception that, Belichick, he's in the playoffs every year. Andy Reid, he's in the playoffs every year. So on and so forth. Pete Carroll, he's got Seattle in there year in, year out. And we don't really have that black head coach that just you can just pencil him in preseason, they're in the playoffs.
Well, with Mike Tomlin, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he never had a losing season. Yes, he might miss the playoffs here and there, but he never had a losing season. And you are right about that part of what's behind closed doors, what's been said. And to me, it seems like who knows who and who knows what.
Well, my thing is when the guys are coming out of college going to the combine, that's on NFL Network for all the world to see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he can argue that, making a coaching hire, that's as big or even bigger than the draft.
And 75% of players are African American, and the coaches of color and other ethnicity deserve an opportunity for head coaching jobs, and it's not fair. And I think, in my opinion, the owners should come flat out and say why this guy instead over this guy that has more qualifications. If they go around the Rooney Rule and all that, give them a fine or something. And I think this is why Jay-Z decided to partner with the NFL, is to get these issues resolved, because it's been a hot mess for years. Everybody knows about it, and something needs to be done going forward. And I think with Jay-Z under the helm, it's going to get done. Since he set that thing up with Colin Kaepernick, except for he blew the opportunity, and you probably see more minority head coaches for interviews and possibly get coaching jobs that deserve head coaching jobs, who put in the work, who work their way up over other head coaches. I'm not saying the other head coaches can coach and all this other stuff, but I'm saying they've been there a lot longer and put in more work and all that.
Well, one thing that I think could help them going forward is like most of the league's top quarterbacks this past year, just this particular season, in the vacuum. Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, minority quarterbacks. I'm not saying the two are linked together, but perhaps with the more success of minorities at the quarterback position, might see a few more doors open, moving forward.
Exactly. And I commend you for not be afraid to run away from this topic, and you come forward and you give your opinion for a white guy and other stuff, and I appreciate it. That's why we call each other brothers, because you don't hide behind it. You want to talk about these issues, and we don't hide behind nothing. If there's something to be brought, we talk about it.
I mean, I think most NFL fans, we don't really care who's coaching our favorite team. We want to win.
Yeah,
we want to win. I don't care what brown, white, black, or purple. I want to win.
Exactly. Good topic. All right, that will do it for the second part of Gameball NFL Endzone. When we come back, it's the two-cast conference championship matchups and predictions. So stick around. Gameball NFL Endzone coming right up. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Segment number 3, the two-cast conference championship games. The Tennessee Titans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Green Bay Packers versus the 49ers. KC and Tennessee. Let's go.
Both Kansas City and San Francisco are at home. Both are getting 7.5-point favorites. Both have played both championship games or regular season rematches. Kansas City lost to Tennessee. Game was at Nashville, 35-32. Green Bay went to San Francisco on a flexed Sunday night game in Week 12, lost 37-8. Packers have not lost since then. As far as Kansas City and Tennessee goes, going to be low 20s for the high that day. Game's going to be kicking off at about 2:05 Central Time. Mm-hmm. So weather shouldn't be too impactful there. Can't remember when they started doing this, 4, 5, 6 years ago. They started to rotate. The AFC kicking off first, and then the NFC second, and vice versa. Last year, you might recall, New England and Kansas City, they kicked off after LA Rams and New Orleans did. So AFC's turned to host first this year. Tennessee, they have the team that's built for going on the road. They have a team that's built for the cold. Both teams play on the outdoors, natural grass. I don't believe it historically gets as cold in Nashville as it does Tennessee, or as it does in Kansas City. Not really a point right here. Now, as far as the actual game goes, as far as the actual X's and O's go right here, as I mentioned, Tennessee hosted Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, 466 yards that game. Tennessee would block a field. They would rally from a 29-20 deficit to win 35-32. And it was one of the most bizarre, I don't want to say Kansas City meltdown, because Tennessee made some plays down the stretch there. But Kansas City, they certainly, if they didn't melt down, they certainly gave them a helping hand there.
Great special teams
on the special teams, and then they had a sensational blocked field goal there where I've never seen anybody time a jump like that. Remember looking at that replay over and over again, and he was past the line of scrimmage while the center still had the ball in his hand. He started the snap, but he had yet to release the ball, and I've never seen anything. He timed that jump perfectly. I think asking for I'm not sure either team gets to 30 in this one. We all know about Derrick Henry. He's ran for over 188 yards now 3 games in a row, going back to Week 17 against Houston when he won the rushing title. What I suspect Tennessee will do, there's two things will happen for them on the offensive side of the ball. I think they come out and they let Tannehill just sling it all over the yard. First quarter. They got capable receivers. Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. These guys can play. They can run routes. They got great hands on them. They're great after the catch as well. So they don't necessarily take shots down the field, get them intermediate routes, let them slip a tackle. They get that running game going. Or they try to get the running game going initially, as they've been doing so far in the playoffs, and then start to take their shots afterwards, second quarter, second half, however you look at it. Mm-hmm. One of those two things I think is going to be the offensive game plan there. Kansas City, defensively, they're going to be gearing up for that run. I believe Derrick Henry had, 188 on them in the regular season game. He had 156 rushing on it, in the playoff, 2 years ago, when they came back from 21-3 to win 22-21. Also in Kansas City, that's a wild card weekend game. Mariota, who was now the Titans' backup quarterback, caught a deflected pass, threw a touchdown to himself that game. Yeah. Need some divine intervention to pull one off there. I think if Tennessee's going to win this game, they're going to need some more divine intervention to be on their side.
Well, for this matchup, I don't necessarily think that, but just stick to who you are and what got you there to the playoffs. Run the ball and play good defense, play smash mouth football, and you can't go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City offense. We all know that. But one thing that has proven against Kansas City they don't do well at is time of possession. You have to win the time of possession battle. And Tennessee so far in the first 2 playoff games has done that. They done that against New England. They did that against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'll keep that train rolling, and I expect Mike Vrabel to make some defense adjustments to harass and cause problems for Patrick Mahomes and the crew, just like he did with Lamar Jackson, keep him inside instead of running outside. And also, same thing with Tom Brady. Their defensive line is balling. And that Simmons rookie kid, he is cleaning house. So if they can do that, they can get the win and get back to the Super Bowl. It's been a long time for the Chiefs, but it's been
20 years for the Titans, 50 for the Chiefs. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been, but the Chiefs had one and the Titans didn't. So it's been a long time coming for them. It's very big for both teams, especially for Tennessee. Now for Kansas City, you cannot afford a slow, sloppy start, because if you are down 24-0 against Tennessee, you're not coming back. They're going to play time of possession and eat that clock up. And that's what they're good at. So defensively for Kansas City, they have to stop the run. They got to force Tannehill to beat them. I know it's a tall task, but they have to. And they have to stop Derrick Henry quickly.
Ryan Tannehill, he does have the highest QBR in the league to take over as a starter there. So even though he hasn't thrown for, I think he threw for like 71 against the Patriots and 80-something against Baltimore, doesn't mean he can't do it. He just hasn't had to yet. You mentioned if Tennessee gets a big lead on Kansas City there, that they're going to stick with the run game. Kansas City, they probably had the lead for 70-80% of that regular season matchup. But Tennessee, they stuck with that run game. Even when they were behind, they stayed true to who they were, didn't get away from the script, and was able to work a comeback through a defense run of the football, which is why they're still playing.
And that's why they are the number one team in the second half of NFL are wearing defenses down, because they start to gas and they get tired. And the thing,
can't say this Chris Jones' game. They got to get Chris Jones going. He missed the playoff against Houston. They got to get Chris Jones in there.
And the thing I don't like about Andy Reid, he does not like to run the ball in the playoffs. And
he don't like to run the ball at all.
Exactly. Well, you have to establish a running game, because pass happy does not win championships. Running the ball and being physical and play defense and melt the clock wins you games. And his conference championship game career, he's 1-5. So if I'm Andy Reid, you have to run the ball. You got to get that running game going and help out Patrick Mahomes more. And you got to play time of possession football. If they can do that, they get the win at home and go to the Super Bowl. Green Bay Packers versus the 49ers.
As I mentioned earlier, San Francisco, they held serve against Green Bay 37-8. They just absolutely clobbered Aaron Rodgers in this game. I mentioned, I think, back in our first segment, how the 49ers defense, they kind of struggle with the more mobile quarterbacks. Now, while Aaron Rodgers has never been considered a dual threat, he's always been able to run a little bit. Not so much anymore, though. What kind of step he ever had, to get away in the past. Still a little bit of it there, not quite like it used to be, though. And that 49ers defensive front is just kind of reminds me of the 2013 Seahawks team that won Super Bowl 48. They blitzed 25% of the time that year, which is a league low, and they were like second in the league in sacks that year. I remember Chris Clemens, Red Bryant and company, just unstoppable that year. This 49ers front is probably the most dominant we've seen since then. They're all young. They're going to be back next year, hungry, better as well.
They're under contract.
Under contract, yep. But you got Richard Sherman anchoring the back half of that secondary down there. D Ford, he made his presence felt after missing a few games with injury there. Quan Alexander, he was activated back in the linebacker form as well.
Perfect timing.
Yep. Kittle's going to get his. Debo Samuel's going to get his. Emmanuel Sanders is going to get his. Nice little stable of running backs and Mostert and Breida. They got a third back too. His name is slipping me right now, but he actually I think was the best of the three against Minnesota too, if I'm not mistaken. But Garoppolo, people are going to call him a game manager. That's okay. Well, when Tom Brady beat the St. Louis Rams, he was a game manager. Mm-hmm. When Tom Brady beat the Los Angeles Rams, he was a game manager. That's fine. You know what? He got 2 rings out of it too. Okay. 6 total. So go ahead, Jimmy. Go do your game managing. Go get you a ring.
Exactly. For the Green Bay Packers, offensively, they gotta be more physical because they got obliterated against the Niners last time. They have to be physical.
Got to get something out of Za'Darius and Preston Smith.
Exactly. And they have to run the ball. They got to get that pass game going. They got to use the screen pass against the blitz. And you got to be aggressive and take shots down the field. And defense, you have to force Jimmy Garoppolo to be uncomfortable in the pocket, force him to make back throws. If the Green Bay Packers stay doing that, they can go to the Super Bowl. All right, the two cast conference championship predictions. Who are you rolling with?
I'm gonna go with we picking the games individually. You just want to know what two teams I got.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm going with the home teams. I think we get Kansas City and San Francisco. Gonna be one for the ages there in Kansas City. I think Tennessee's gonna give them all they can handle. I don't think they're necessarily gonna get outscored. I'm not sure either team breaks 30 points in this one. Because it's gonna be cold. Because Tennessee likes to run the football and control the clock. I know it was 35-32, a few months ago. Hard to see that game happening again like that, though. I think it's just going to be great action in the third and fourth quarter there. I think it's going to be a one-score game either way at halftime. I got the Chiefs at 24-20 in that one. Going with the Chiefs 24-20.
I got the Tennessee Titans on this one. Another upset. It's just like they've been rolled off. After that loss and Mike Vrabel made that change, you've seen something in there. This is like, I don't want to be kind of biased, but I am the way, the 2001 Patriots. Their backs against the wall. Nobody's going to pick them. The greatest show on turf offense. The next in Kansas City. Then you got the New England Patriots physical defense, which is in the Tennessee Titans, led by Mike Vrabel. And he's also familiar how to beat Andy Reid because when he was a player against Super Bowl against the Eagles, when Andy Reid was coaching, he won. So he knows how to play Andy Reid. I think for watching the last two games, that physicality is there. And I don't see enough of Kansas City stopping that run game because they're not good when the clock is ticking down. They're more of in there, hurry up, we got to score, we got to score, we got to score. And that forces more pressure on the offense to make mistakes. So I'm going to roll with the Tennessee Titans to advance to the Super Bowl. Upset alert, Tennessee over Kansas City. I'm going to say 28-21. Tennessee Titans gets it done. The H train leads them the way, and the defense plays well.
All right, yeah, and the nightcap there, I already mentioned like San Francisco advancing that one. I think they're gonna. I think it'll be one of those games where I understand they won the first game 37-8. I think it's gonna be a game similar to where if you don't see the score, you're gonna swear they're up by 30 points. Then you're gonna look at the scoreboard. It's gonna be like, wait, how's this a one possession game? How does Green Bay have a chance? Why are they still in this? But despite all the domination that San Francisco does, I got them winning not nearly by as much as the last time. I got them 23-13 in this one, though. Anytime they put Devontae Adams, the Richard Sherman side of the field, he's going to be locked up on him. I don't think the rest of the San Francisco secondary gets their just due. It's much more than just Sherman back there. So if they want to go the other way with Devontae Adams as well, not sure he's going to have too much success that way either. I don't think Green Bay has anyone that can cover Kittle. I do think San Francisco's got the deuce to cover Jimmy Graham. That front four is going to get after it. Rodgers can't move like he used to. 23-13 Niners.
I got the 49ers win in a similar fashion, but less. I'm going to say 35-21. At home, it's just, I think they're long overdue of a championship team. And give it up to John Lynch, an excellent general manager, former player, sports broadcaster, came in and revamped that culture, and Kyle Shanahan is the reason why they're there. He put his stamp, he put his mark, got the coaches, got the players that he needed to be successful there. So I'm going to roll with the 49ers. My picks are the Tennessee Titans and the San Francisco 49ers. They'll win over the Green Bay Packers 35-21.
Hey, Patriot fans would love that matchup too, because either way, Mike Vrabel's getting a ring out of it or Jimmy Garoppolo is.
Yeah. All right, that will do it for this Gameball NFL Endzone social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Gmail, all over this right side, and it'll be on your left side, right to your left, vice versa, back and forth. You can also get our clothing gear on our clothing line website at gameballshop.equid.com. That's gameballshop.equid.com on the website. Get your gear, follow the little whatever it says on there. Also, get on our official website page at gck-gnfle.com. That's gck-gnfle.com. Gameball College Kickoff - Gameball NFL Endzone. And I'm going to pass it on to my brother Luke.
Find me on Twitter at LukeHartnett2, as I am LukeHartnett1. Find me on Facebook at Luka Hartnett, Luka. I'm eventually going to change my name back to my given name of Luke, but Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks having a sensational season in the NBA, game recognized game, pay a little homage to him.
And also, you can't forget to follow our other brother, Marcus Young Jenkins, who's on the West Coast side, and he'll be back soon on the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all in one word, JavellianT, and do not forget the underscore. It's your boy, Michael Riley.
And I'm Luke Hartnett.
This is Gameball NFL Endzone, when the football season never ends. Peace. We are out, and see you next week.